the dynamic environment of real estate has changed so much in such a short period of time. You're having to be so much to everybody at every point, and being able to be everywhere because you've got multiple team members rather than one person just means that you're servicing everybody to the level that you want to, and you've got the right people with the right strengths doing what is best to them.
Welcome to the Lowedown, Wellington's #1 real estate podcast. And today we're talking about how teams are redefining real estate in Wellington. And I am here today, super special episode, because I'm here today with one of our top teams, and actually one of the top teams in Wellington, in the top 10 actually. So congratulations guys on all your success, pretty amazing. I just was doing some research before coming down to talk to you guys, and I see that your growth year on year has been 30%, which is absolutely phenomenal. And again, to crack the top 10 is a huge, and we've got 500 licensed agents in Wellington. So to crack top 10 is amazing. So you guys should be, A, really, really proud of that. But B, being a team is obviously a huge part of that success.
It is.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? Like what in terms of, setting up a team, tell us about why you did it instead of going solo.
Yeah, good question, Craig.
Yeah, we go back to, I think it's 2018, and I was doing a listing by myself and knowing your lanes, wouldn't have a clue how to stage a property, and Elise popped up and we got chatting, and I said, oh, look, I really need some assistance with this because I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. So that was our first listing out in Upper Hutt, and then from there we just never looked back. It was just growth. And obviously that move to Lowe & Co was a big changer for us. So yeah, it was a...
Absolutely. It happened quite organically, didn't it?
But it's serendipity.
Yeah, absolutely. I always, think about our team and what that looks like moving forward, but it's actually really hard to find a job description or what that person looks like, especially with Mitch joining us in the last 6 to 8 months. It's hard, and it did happen organically, and it's nice, and it's about finding your people. We're a genuine team, and that's really our point of difference. We're not an associate, a lead, and so on, and we can certainly talk a little bit more about how we work and so on, but yeah, it's a point of difference.
Cool. So I find it really fascinating because if we look at the industry structure, it is gravitating towards teams, right? Like the market is going towards that way. We're seeing teams growing larger teams for a start, like you guys, obviously with your property coordinator. You guys are really a team of 4, right?
We are.
And so that's a phenomenal. That's getting to a pretty big size for Wellington, but that's becoming more common. And obviously, if we look at other industries, like you look at, say for example, even doctors. Even if you go to a doctor, they've got a nurse doing all the medical processes and blood pressure tests and dressing wounds and things. They've got a receptionist doing all the administration, and then you've got the doctor doing the analysis. So it is more normal in other industries, and it's taken real estate a long time. And I kind of think about it like we're professionalizing the industry through specialisation rather than generalisation of
100%,
the roles.
Yeah.
I really think that's probably pretty critical to the success of most teams. I mean, the dynamic environment of real estate has changed so much in such a short period of time. You're having to be so much to everybody at every point, and being able to be everywhere because you've got multiple team members rather than one person just means that you're servicing everybody to the level that you want to, and you've got the right people with the right strengths doing what is best to them. Yeah,
that's a great point. So, and if we think about the counterfactual to that, when you're operating as an individual, and you guys will remember this well because you've all operated as individual agents on your own, the reality is that you end up trying to do everything. And the minute you get 3 or 4 listings, you could see 100 people on a Sunday if you do 3 or 4 open homes, easily. And then all of a sudden your week's blown out because suddenly 10 people want a limb report and a building report, and then someone else wants an appraisal. And what I noticed was the first thing to go out the window was the follow-up. Like people would stop. I mean, it's not, it's not intentional, it's just they get blown out, and of course that then of course can affect the client. Yeah. So I think people get a significantly better service, don't they?
100%.
I think what we hear repeatedly is that at most appraisals we get caught in because we're one of the few teams that actually follow up, which seems just the total norm in 2025 to be able to go, hey, tell me, what were you looking for? Did you find it? And it's a little bit disappointing to find that a lot of people in the public don't get that conversation. Yeah. And it's such an easy thing to be done, and it's the first thing to go when you get too busy. Yeah. But it's the most integral part of everything to a vendor in their campaign.
And then we're talking a lot about vendors, but you're right. Buyer servicing is a really important part of this game. And would you say, I mean, my experience is buyers really do feel like they get let down by agents a lot, right? Because they feel like they need to buy something, they want that service of someone to actually look out for a house for them. And so often agents working solo, they just don't have the capacity for that because they're managing the listings that they've got. And so then people feel let down, which is interesting. So in terms of teams, do you guys have like JDs for each three of you? How do you guys set it up? Do you each have like specific roles?
We do. We know our lanes, and I think that's the strength of what we bring and a point of difference why you would choose to work with Steve, Elise and Mitch is because we resonate differently with different people, whether that's our vendor or our buyers, but we know what we each bring, our different strengths to our powerhouse team, and it's about sticking to those lanes. So, as you said, an individual agent has to be everything to everyone, whereas here we know what we bring to the team and to the clients, and we have to manage those accordingly. As Mitch said, the first thing to drop off is that callback and follow-up, and for us, that is so important. No. There's no point doing what we do, right? You may as well sell your house yourself, and it's about creating that relationship with people. I'll tell you a secret, Craig. Real estate's not about houses. It's about the people.
Great point.
Yeah. And that's certainly our point of difference, and what we try to bring to real estate is we're genuine agents, we're a genuine team. When you list with Steve, Elise and Mitch, you get Steve, Elise and Mitch. When you go to an open home, the vendors put so much trust in you to list their home. They expect you to be there to answer those questions, to be that point of contact, and they expect you, and that's why we, the team, make such a point of making those phone calls follow up, whether you're interested or not, whether you're the neighbour. It's so important.
And I know you guys are incredible at how you manage your open homes. I mean, you guys have done training for the entire team on this, right? Yeah. So talk us through that, because that's, as an individual, that's going to be almost impossible to do it the way you guys do, I would imagine. Yeah,
look, we've certainly refined it, but again, it's very genuine and organic how we've done it. It's an experience. Our open home is definitely not going to be the same as the one you go to after. We have music. Again, you have us, the genuine team there as that point of contact, and we take
handling a busy open home with multiple.
Multiple agents. You get 2 or 3 of us depending on the size of the property. And we run multiple open homes throughout the week as well.
And you can keep it more secure because
100%.
you've more people, and then you'll have obviously we do this with everyone at Lowe & Co, which is a great thing I think that the company does, but you have the open home registration person that's taking names and numbers at the front, which means you can focus on waving your arms and getting people excited inside the open home.
Absolutely.
I think as a buyer, the biggest thing that we hear is that an agent can get in the way of a buyer's journey along the process.
Yeah.
So if an agent isn't responsive, if they're not asking the right questions, if they're not engaging at an open home or after the callbacks, you can really interrupt the sale for a buyer in the journey that they need to go on. And that is a frustration that we hear time and time again. A buyer wants to buy a home, be reactive, be there for them, be in the position that how can I help this buyer make this home?
I bet you guys get a bit of business from your open homes, right? Because they run well.
One of those things you just mentioned before was the open home assistant, and we do use them every once in a while. But when we have those open homes with myself, Elise and Mitch there, we recognise the people that have been through our open homes several times in the past. We might not remember their phone numbers to sign them in, but we certainly remember faces and sometimes names. So that connection's there immediately. That knocks down that wall of, this is another real estate agent. Really important to personalise the entire process. So again, having people there that look after you from day dot. Buyers want time. That's all they want. You give them time.
And we know that roughly 25% of people that are milling around at open homes have actually got a house to sell, right? So you overservice them, and there's a huge incentive for you, and I bet that drives a bit of business for you guys because you're so professional at it.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not always the immediate gratification that we're going to get. It's the put yourself in their shoes. Are they needing a bit of help along the way? And hey, can we get them there? Sometimes, and most of the time, it's providing all this value with no return. That's real estate, and that's how it goes in Wellington. But the chances are that when it comes back to I need help with my real estate transaction, you're going to talk to the team that helped you as a first home buyer or kept you updated on what's happening in the market or actually just showed a genuine compassion for you along that process.
And by having 3 of us, we resonate differently with different clients accordingly. So we know that you might need to deal with somebody because they didn't resonate with you and vice versa. So we each bring something different and different personalities and so on. So again, you're getting more than just an individual can bring, unfortunately.
That's a great point. And so if we think about how it benefits sellers, if we sort of summarize that, because we talked a bit about it, but obviously they're getting, 3 of you people, and technically 4 with our property coordinator as well, for the cost of one. It doesn't cost them any more money, right? Which is amazing. And then at the same time, they're getting assurance that their follow-up is done, because no one, 3 of you guys can handle it. Yep. Someone's going to be a specialist in that buyer work, so someone's going to be handling those calls, which means it always happens. And that could lead to a better result, right? A better price. You get an offer, and because you've been able to influence someone that may not have, may have been on the edge, which we've seen many, many times. What other benefits can you guys think about?
Yeah, it's an important one for us on deadline or tender days, is being able to know that we've uncovered everything along the way, so that our vendor is in best position to make a call saying, hey, we've spoken with buyer number 1, we met with them this morning, whether it's in the office, at a cafe, at their house, we're always available. How many deadline days are we there where a buyer says, I'm not able to make it, I can't make an offer? Well, if it's a solo agent, oh, well, I'm really sorry, we'll keep you updated after the process. But as a team, guys, I'm out the door. I've got an offer coming in, I'll see you guys in half an hour, get the presentation started, and I'll be back in. At least if we can say we've ticked off everything and we've provided multiple avenues for buyers and vendors to get the best price, that's ultimately what matters.
3 times the strength. But we can also leverage off each other as agents. We have fun while we're doing it as well. And so having each other's backs is so important, because we're only stronger together. And I think a solo agent looking in can see that.
I mean, I agree with that. It's a great point about it's more fun to do things. There's a, corollary, right, which is that you also want to be operating in a flow state. So you're operating as a team and you're operating in a flow state where you're not crossing lanes too much. So you're having fun with the outcomes, but you're not just going together to do something at the same time because it's more exciting to do it with another person.
Sometimes we do. Sometimes we do. We try to, have those moments together. And it's not always fun. There's a lot of hard work, a lot of long hours and so on. But, if we can take each other on the journey, that's great. But again, knowing those lanes, we can spread our time more evenly to make sure we get better outcomes from it.
I think it's really hard for an individual agent to keep and be consistent with your energy. You get one bad result and then it's
your
so
energy
easy.
Anyway. Your energy,
It's so easy just to let that drag an agent down, and we see it time and time again where it doesn't bounce back. But with the team, you've got to keep yourself accountable, because, hey, look, there's 2 other people there who go, we've got to get things moving, come on. And then the next phone call, the next meeting is slightly different, which means that you're just rebounding with a different energy for your clients.
Yeah.
So for people that are listening that are not real estate agents, right, that might be, so, well, what does it really mean to be in a team? I think, it's probably worth just clarifying that, right? Because if you think about the process from listing a house, the fact that you've got one part of the job. I think a lot of people out there probably don't even know what the back end of a real estate agent's life looks like. And so as a solo person, you've got to go through all the administration work. You've got to onboard the property. So you've got to do all the marketing, which means, organising or at least writing and approving advertising. Means, getting the collateral around photos, videos, all of that stuff done, organised. So you're sort of project managing as well through this with a lot of suppliers. You've got to get things onboarded to all the portals. You've got to do a lot of back-end administration around that. You've got to get, documentation like sale and purchase agreements organised and approved by solicitors. There's just so much of that admin side. Then you've got the actual sales work, which doesn't even start. I mean, there's so much work that goes on before you even start. Then maybe there's 2 to 3 weeks maybe of effort. House prep as well, organising house prep for people, house washing, building reports, analysing building reports. Then you've got compliance. So you've got to take those building reports and the LIM reports, you've got to analyse them, then you've got to decide what disclosures there are, building report disclosures from the owners. There's a lot, right? There's a lot. And then we get to the sale, so it's advertised now. Now the phone starts ringing. And if you're a solo agent, you're the only agent on the ad. If you're a team, you can put multiple people on the ad, multiple people taking those phone calls. Then obviously you've got open homes, buyer appointments, vendor feedback, communication, follow-up, and then you're taking through to a tender day. You've got to deal with solicitors, you've got to deal with people, buyers' due diligence, builders, people going through the property again, multiple looks. And this is just for one sale. You're also running a business, so you're trying to do, on the same time, you're trying to onboard new properties at the same time, and you're trying to go out and do appraisals, find new business, prospecting, which, is to find sellers out there. There's a lot. And actually, one thing I've noticed is that, agents' incomes when they're working solo, and you guys will remember this, it really tends to go like this, right? Doesn't it? It's like
peaks and flows, yeah.
Yeah, really peaks and flows, because you list a whole lot of properties and then you get busy selling them, which means you've got no time for doing any other listing or any other prospecting, and then suddenly you're unemployed again because you've sold everything, and then boom, you've got to do a whole lot of listing again. So a team, we'll get to the point, but the team helps smooth that out, because you can in each one part of that, you have someone specializing in all the administration, the onboarding, someone specializing in all the listing and the prospecting and the talking to potential vendors and all that sort of stuff, and someone specializing in the selling, and then you can cross over a little bit across the whole lot.
That's right. I think real estate gets glorified by these Netflix shows that we just show it looking great and then we just sell them. And that would be great in an ideal world, but it's not. You're right. It's a lot of hustle. There's a lot of sacrifice. There's a lot of hours that go into it. And I think that the key point from what you've just said, from that long list of things we do, Craig, is when you work with our team, you are the listing. And you know that we're not trying to just juggle all those things in the background, but that you have our full undivided attention. And we pride ourselves on that. I'm the first person to pick up my phone while I'm doing bedtime underneath the sheets with a child next to me trying to respond, because I want to give that level of service. And I think we each choose our priorities and our why. And our team's very clear about our why and what we do. And we do it for each other. And we want to get the best result for our clients. So it's always top of mind, right?
Yeah, 100%. The silent partner in this, of course, is Bianca. So those things you just mentioned before, Craig, when we were at our previous agency, we'd have thought about getting a virtual PA, and we thought, oh no, we'll give it a miss. When we came on board with you and it was already established, it was a game changer, an absolute game changer. Those hours we got back to do the prospecting, to go out door knocking. We love door knocking and meeting people. It's the best way to prospect. It just allowed us to do more front-facing work, which is what it's all about. Yeah, all about
that.
Yeah, we can give more to our clients and service them.
Let's be fair, when you go to the doctors, you don't really want the doctor arranging the next appointment, doing the prescription, changing the radio channel in the waiting room. You want the doctor to say, I'm running 10 minutes late, finally come on in, see you for 5 minutes, and then that's it, you've got a solution. That's the best way, I think, to describe a team, is that if you stick to what you're really good at, it's all pretty seamless. And how many times do you feel guilty, or you see an agent who's, I need to go away for a weekend, I've got a wedding, I've got those events. That's really hard to do if you're a solo agent, because then you've got a vendor who has somebody in their home who they've never met before running an open home. With a team, you're always there covering.
And let's talk about that too, because we've all got families. Elise has got young kids, Mitch has got young kids, I've got older kids, so I'm actually a bit more flexible. But every once in a while, every once a month at least, we get a weekend off. That is so important. Otherwise, you are just under the cosh every weekend. Yeah.
Well, that's a fantastic point, and then I think that's a good segue into the benefit for you as agents. And we talked a bit about the income benefit, because you can smooth out those peaks and troughs, so you get leverage out of the whole system, which means you can bring more sales in and make more money, which is great, and while providing a better service. So it's a win-win. And I think, the way I think about it is 1 + 1 needs to equal 3 or 4. Not just 2, or certainly 2 is okay, but 3 or 4 is what you want. But if it equals 1.5, you know what I mean, right? Like if the more you double up, the more you do things together, then at some point your leverage goes down to 1.5x, and you might have 2 people in the team. That's no good. But if you can get sort of 3x or 4x out of 2 people in a team, that's when you're getting the leverage out of it. But it really does work that way. It's amazing, isn't it? We see people cap out, running really hard at about 20 to 25 listings, like an individual agent. And that's hard work. That is really hard work to do that much. There's not much of a life outside of that if you're doing everything from PA work. But then we see teams that can get, with 3 people, can get up to, 100, 120, 130 kind of properties. So you can do a lot more volume when you're operating in a team.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot more volume, but again, giving the same level of service to get those ultimate and premium outcomes. So they go hand in hand.
Totally. What about the challenges of a team? Like, you've got culture to think about, and you've got...
Oh, no, I think we've got an amazing team member at the office, Jason, who says it really, the minute you've got 3 people, it's a culture.
Yes. Yeah.
And so if you're trying to keep a culture alive, you're naturally going to have those moments where you're going to butt heads or you're going to disagree on something. But I think having people that you can implicitly trust to go, hey, we've got this problem, let's just deal with it head on, let's resolve it before it blows into anything else, is the best way to be. Because when you've got a problem by yourself, you've got to solve it yourself.
Yeah.
But as my mum used to say, is, you know, problem shared is a problem halved. Well, I've got 3 heads between all of us to be able to bounce ideas off and get an outcome quicker and resolve it. So I think if you can culture a little bit better, then it's a better outcome for everyone.
Yeah, it's not always selling sunset either. There's sometimes weeks where you're actually just on a downer. You're like, this is not me. But when you've got support in your team members, you know that those functions are going to get carried out. And when you come back out and you're fully functioning again, you're going to carry on, which is brilliant. And it's nice to have that support, really is. And I like going away for holidays and stuff too. So again, having that support's really nice. These guys like to get away for their times as well, but having that support really allows us that time for our families, which is really important, Craig, as you know.
Yeah. Well, you actually, you know, the reality is if you don't book time off, and agents get into this all the time because they can be chasing the deals, they can be, you know, running hard, and you can burn out really quickly. So regular breaks is so important. Just you actually get more out of the year when you have regular breaks than less, you know. But it's easy to do the opposite. So you know, it's been amazing. What else, you know, in terms of being a team, you know, actually I might be a bit selfish here and just ask you about Lowe & Co. and your experience coming here, because you came from a previous agency. You mentioned the engine room, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
Is there any other things that have been helpful in terms of the team side of it?
I think the actual office environment where we work, we've got a couple of satellite offices, but every Tuesday, Wednesday, we're all together. We're all bouncing off each other and we're all open books. So we know what listings are coming up. So that gives us opportunities to start those conversations with buyers early to say, hey, look, there's a property coming up. The other agents don't go, oh, don't work my listing. They really want more agents going through that property. So again, it's a really nice open environment, but it's also great for our vendors too. Hey, look, we've got something else popping up on your street with a different agent. We'll let you know how it goes.
How often do you hear a situation where it's another team member in your business sells your client's listing?
Which is great.
Isn't that amazing?
That means they've got a better price.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. To be able to go, hey, we've done our caravan, we're on the phones, we're cross-selling everybody's listings at the office, which means that we're taking our buyers from one listing to another, or somebody that you may never have come in contact with. Hey, I've got the buyer for that.
So that network is powerful.
Incredible.
It was a game changer for us, Craig. The collaboration, the openness. I mean, you've seen what our little nook in the office looks like. We have everything on show. We're all about, you know, sharing the knowledge, sharing our listings and our clients.
We have an open database, obviously.
And it just makes real estate better.
No, I'm you know, appreciate that. That's good feedback. And do you think, you know, in terms of the growth that you've seen the last couple of years, do you think that you would have been able to achieve that without being in a team? Like, would it have been almost impossible, or?
Without the team, 100% it wouldn't have been possible. Getting Mitch on board, probably not the best business model to have 3 listings selling and negotiating agents, but it works for us, which is great, and it's allowed us to grow, which is the best thing about it. But again, that environment where we're in is really powerful, I think.
Having the strength of the Lowe & Co. brand when you put yourself out there and you are door knocking, it puts you ahead of others, and you know what you're getting. You know, from the minute you drive past a Lowe & Co. signboard, it's not our faces, Craig, on the board. It's that little snapshot into a hero image that you can't see from the street front. So again, it's the brand from day one, whether you're listing or whether you're considering coming to the market. Lowe & Co. is the way to go.
You guys have done an absolutely phenomenal job. I want to take this time to publicly say that. I'm so proud to have you guys at Lowe & Co. and I can't wait to watch your continued success.
Thank you, appreciate that.
That was the Lowedown. Thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe, and we'll be back at it again next week.